afternoon. Welcome to the second in the series of our Ask the Team. So this is our regular weekly spot whereby questions that we come across on a daily basis when we're out and about meeting clients, stuff that crops up in the office, stuff that we ask ourselves and continue to ask ourselves. We thought we'd just record a short video, hoping everything helps and makes sense. Today we're going to start with property investing. So it's a big subject. But we're going to break it down, start simple. We can get into more detail in future sessions, but we just start with something that says, what makes a good investment?
Yeah, so I think we've got to start with location. It's location for you, I know.
It is, yeah. It's not all about coving or nice features or period.
Sometimes it is.
This is some things that not only these questions that come up. We can't agree on some of this stuff. We've been investing for sort of 20 years in Chester, and so it's not an exact science. That's why we disagree. But I think fundamentally, location has always been important with property, and it will continue to be. And you can go onto Rightmove, you can search for all over the country. That's the power of something like that.
Yeah. But
the reality is, still sticking with a good location just gives you that sort of security that you're going to have safety in the long term, as opposed to those short term rewards. So location is still
and we're so lucky in Chester that we've got some brilliant areas. We've got some very, very safe areas that have seen a lot of capital appreciation already, and will probably continue to see capital appreciation. But we've got some quite bohemian areas that are kind of up and coming, that I think are a bit of the jewel in the crown, where you could buy at still a relatively low price, and it would tick the box of both washing its face on a monthly basis and giving you some positive cash flow, but also some capital appreciation in the longer term.
Because the reality is, when we first started investing sort of 20 years ago, you could pick up the Chronicle. You could just literally go down, put a pin in any property, and more or less, sort of, as Lisa says, wash its face in terms of investment. Everybody still wants, in terms of location, people still want Hambridge, they still want Hoole. Those are the most popular areas for people wanting to rent and wanting to buy. But the reality is, they just don't stack up as well as they used to years ago, and you just can't find. It's not easy to find great investments in those areas. And in a minute we'll talk about whether it's capital appreciation or sort of passive income that you're after. But I think people are now looking further afield than the traditional Hools and Hambridges of this world.
Definitely, and I think not only can we talk about location, but we should probably also talk about market. And the real good news here is that Chester rental market is booming. There are a real undersupply of single lets. There's demand very much for small apartments and small houses, but then also family houses.
If we won the lottery, we talked about this the other day. Looking at the demand that's coming in, we'd be looking at 3-bed family homes. When we put something like that on the market, it really is just the demand for something like that is amazing. Finding good investments that make good family houses is a different matter. But if you have them, if you're buying them, if you've seen the opportunity, get hold of them and bring them to market, because they're absolutely flying at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one of the things that we use is a spreadsheet that will look at, basically punch in the numbers of what your purchase price is, what your refurb costs are, what your rental figure will be, and it extrapolates some really, really interesting numbers, so you can look at different propositions. And for me, I think the return is pretty important, whether that's on a monthly basis or on a capital basis, or a mixture of the two.
Yeah, and having that, it's surprising, sort of many years down the line, intuitively you look at stuff and what's going to make a good investment, but you'd be surprised, even we get carried away. Sometimes you see a property and you think this is the one for us, and you get all the way down the line and you think, hold on, have we actually put that into our spreadsheet? So if you don't have a spreadsheet, you should put everything into it and get into the habit. You can then evaluate investments very, very quickly. It takes the emotion out of it. and you can model it, you can do what ifs in terms of what if I got this rent versus that rent. I always tend to go low ball. I always try and work on a worst case scenario in terms of occupancy and rental figures, and if it starts to stack up, then I might sort of bump it up a little bit. But you've got to have a spreadsheet. You've got to start from that, so take the emotion out of it.
And we'll happily share ours with you. So, you know, if you are interested, please do reach out. You know, we can help with any advice. We can obviously give you rental figures if you're looking at particular properties, but we can also hand you over our spreadsheet and help you with popping those numbers in.
We're jumping around a bit, but back sort of tying those two things together. We've got kind of location, we've got about doing the numbers, that's your return on investment, and to tie them together, it's, you know, I guess a good example would be back to the Hulls or Hambridges of this world. You know, that's for somebody who might want longer term capital appreciation. So you punch the numbers into a spreadsheet, it will come out, it might just wash its face, you might not make a huge amount or anything on a monthly basis, but some people will say that's okay. What I really want is to know that in a few years' time it'll be worth 10,000 more, 20,000 more, 30,000 more. So that's one way of looking at it.
And what a great way to have kind of a pension.
Yeah.
You know, putting your money into a property, and you know, in 10 years' time it will no doubt be worth way more than it is now.
Yeah.
So,
and the flip side of that, again, from alternative locations, is, you know, further out of Chester, so like Saltney, where we've got investors, some investors just exclusively buy now. You get better monthly returns, so you will get a kind of a passive income on a monthly basis, but the flip side is you might not get that capital appreciation in the long term. So it's kind of what you want, whether you want that monthly income or whether you want that long term capital appreciation. If you can get both, it's a sweet spot and you're absolutely flying.
Yeah. Good.
Final point, so that was 2. So we had return on investment, we had location, and the third thing is just price. It's buying right in the first instance, and you know, it isn't as easy. It's a bit like finding a needle in a haystack, trying to find that right investment, especially when you're looking in Chester, especially when you're trying to tick all those boxes. We have in touch with plenty of investors at the moment in the market. There's lots of investors around. There's lots more people looking than there ever have been.
Definitely.
We have properties on our books which, you know, will often attract or appeal to investors. You know, and they're the kind of things that, you know, we would happily sort of put people in or point people in direction of what we think makes a good investment, the type of things that we have on our books.
Yeah. But I do have to stress, you know, not everybody, you know, we have a particular strategy. You know, you may have a different strategy, and, you know, we will try in the first instance to understand what that is, and see how we can help best guide you. So yeah, do please reach out to us. Our telephone number, I'm sure you know, is 01244 313 900, or reach out to John and I or one of the team by email. Thank you so much for watching.